In this video, we would like to talk about private cloud. There are a lot of cloud providers on the market, and web search engines give out a lot of options for a private cloud request. This creates a situation where the expression private cloud sometimes implies not entirely private or not quite a cloud. Maybe that's why many companies come to the right decision only after a long way through hit and miss. Well, let's try to figure out what lies behind this terminology. Let's start with a public cloud or classic IaaS solution built using virtualization platform, VMware, and high-end class equipment. In this model, all clients' resources are hosted on common hardware, virtual machines are distributed across one or more virtualization server clusters, storage is shared between users, and network equipment is also shared. Computing resources are only partially guaranteed or not guaranteed at all. The performance of the disk subsystem is limited by the level of individual disks or virtual machines. Managing virtual machines and their network is done via the console of VMware Cloud Director or via its API. Clients have their unique Cloud Director links, and virtual machines are isolated by means of a hypervisor. In terms of the network, they are separated by an overlay VXLAN or Geneve. This solution is ideal for projects that require high availability, easy scalability, and flexible pricing. According to statistics, it is most often used by retailers, SaaS providers, and IT companies. It is ideal for testing and development environments of any organization. Let's move on to a private cloud, the most customized solution, where you can implement any of the client's needs. It has different levels of isolation depending on the tasks. Private cloud with management via VMware Cloud Director. It's the minimum option of a private cloud, and at the same time, the most frequently used by customers. It looks like a classic IaaS, but the client is provided with a cluster of servers entirely dedicated only to it. In this case, the client's virtual machines do not compete for CPU and RAM resources with the virtual machines of other clients. Data storage systems are still shared, but separate volumes are allocated for the client with policies that guarantee a certain level of service in terms of performance. The network equipment is also shared. An overlay is used for isolation at the network level. It is ideal for projects requiring high availability and fault tolerance, but have special requirements for oversubscribing vCPUs, or for the companies whose information security policies do not allow hosting on servers with other clients. The solution implies an exact predictable amount for the rental of resources for budgeting. Private cloud with dedicated VMware vCenter server. The variant is similar to the previous one. However, the client is granted access to a dedicated vCenter server if this is required, for example, by the company's security service. Optionally, you can deploy the VMware Cloud Director panel on top of the dedicated vCenter. The solution is suitable for companies that use automation tools via vCenter Server API, for example Ansible or Terraform. Private cloud with dedicated storage. A cloud with an additional dedicated element, in this case a data storage system. The client is also hosted on a server cluster completely dedicated only to it. Alongside, the client has a dedicated vCenter and fully dedicated data storage system. In this situation, the impact of other customers' loads is excluded and does no effect on the client's loads. It is required for projects with special IOPS consumption characteristics, significant peaks in loads, as well as for customers whose information security department or regulatory authorities do not allow storing data on the same storage with other companies. When using such a solution, other clients cannot affect the power of the CPU, RAM, disk subsystem, and IOPS under any circumstances. Fully dedicated installation, expensive, customized, as isolated as possible. The client is located in separate racks on a dedicated server cluster with its own vCenter on a separate data storage system and dedicated network equipment. The racks can be located in a separate cage, machine room, or on the client's site. It is suitable for those who, for some reason, usually the requirements of the information security or regulator, do not have the right to be hosted in the clouds, but are not ready to invest in equipment. As well, they do not want to maintain their staff of engineers servicing equipment and hypervisor and provide 24/7 support. Or they are not sure about the long-term viability of their project and therefore do not want to invest in it with capex. What about the cost? Usually speaking about the public cloud, we emphasize its flexibility and economy. And private cloud sometimes scares with a high price, lack of flexibility, and with many providers with equipment delivery time, especially now. Moreover, typically the minimum term of the contract for private cloud is 2 to 3 years. To avoid these unpleasant features with private cloud, you should choose a provider specializing in both solutions. We have tried to make our private cloud proposal include the best of public, and we can assure that when infrastructure grows to some particular level, the private cloud approach becomes more economically efficient than a similar public cloud. For our customers, the installation of private cloud takes no more than 2 days. The scaling can be very smooth, since the minimum step is only 256 GB of RAM and 1 TB of disk capacity, and the minimum rental period is only 3 months. We achieved this using the FlexPod technology and our profound experience in planning and managing cloud platforms. That is why we call our private cloud Elastic Private Cloud. And this describes the essence of the service in the most precise way. Before choosing a cloud solution, you can always take demo access or get advice on developing a suitable architecture from our specialists. Link in the description.